It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show. Today's date, I didn't give that at the top of the hour at the other one, but I'll do it now. Today is the 29th of August, correct? Tomorrow's the 30th. And we have an early Labor Day because of the fact that the Labor Day is always the first Monday of September. And this year, that's the very first day, which is the first, which is Monday. Correct, John? Got my dates correct?
You're absolutely right there, Brad.
And what do we do in B Block, John?
It's time for Brad's Top 3.
It's time for Brad's Top 3.
You crack me up. You really do. You do such a good job at that. But the ladies do it twice. You only do once. There they are twice. Okay. And now it's time for...
It's number 3.
Have you seen this thing where the mayor of Minneapolis is being criticized because he said, you know, all this terrible situation with that Catholic church and those two poor kids were killed and 18 other total. I think it was like 4 adults and 14 kids shot by that nutbag. And the mayor says, we don't need any prayers. Have you seen this goofy story?
Yeah, he doesn't need prayers. And, you know, that's been a big liberal catchphrase over the years, is that your prayers aren't enough.
Now a Minnesota bishop has rebuked the Democratic mayor for dismissing prayer following the deadly Catholic school attack. I don't understand this. And I'm not saying the mayor has to be a dyed-in-the-wool, super-duper Christian who's going to pray himself, but why would you say something like that? Because in any group of people, you put 100 people in a room, and there's going to be 20 or 30 of them who are going to be very devout Christians. And then you're going to have, maybe 30 or 40 of them are going to be sort of like, what's the term with Catholics? Cafeteria Catholic. Have you ever heard that term before?
Yeah, they pick and choose what they want to follow.
Right. And then you've got the rest of them that are, I have no interest in religion, and a couple of them who are like, I worship the devil. But why in the world would you say something like that? I don't understand that. And
because here's why, Brad. Because you become a hero to the left. Because I'm guessing, and I haven't read any stories about this, but I'm guessing his point is that we don't need prayers, we need laws, and we need to fight the gun lobby. So this guy can now get a ton of money from the anti-gun groups, from the Moms Demand Action. They can do a fundraising email for him, and he can raise a ton of money. He has one brief time in the sun to become a national liberal hero. And he can seize it and raise a lot of money off this tragedy.
The exact quote was, this was Mayor Frey, F-R-E-Y, at a press conference. This is the exact quote. I read it word for word. Don't say this about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church. So in other words, he's essentially saying they were praying and 2 of them were killed and the rest of them were, injured by the shooting. Okay? Isn't it what he's saying? Hey, it didn't work for them. Isn't that what he's essentially saying? It didn't help them, right?
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know. We don't know what's in his heart and mind, but I do know that it gives him the opportunity to take advantage of this for sure.
I don't get it. I'll never understand it. It's to the point where if John Combest, the comms guy who had the right ear, maybe sometimes the left ear of the president of Monsanto, and he said to you, John, I'm going to give a press conference and I'm going to say this, that I think farmers are a bunch of lazy lollygaggers.
Yeah, or Jim Bob Butthead Farmer, to use the Brad Hildebrand term.
Right. Wouldn't you say, Mr. President of Monsanto, now Bayer, I don't think that's advisable. Wouldn't you say something like that, John?
Yeah, of course. And for all we know, Brad, behind the scenes, somebody from the mayor's team tried to tell him this, and the mayor said, nope, I'm going to say this.
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Just doesn't make any sense.
And by the way, isn't it strange, Brad, that we have this guy who lived as a woman who did this shooting? Imagine if a white guy went in and shot, God forbid, a bunch of black students. Don't you think maybe the entire world would shut down for a week and we would have a lot of lectures about something or other? But because this guy was a trans, we're not going to make a big deal of it, I guess.
John, it's the same thing with the school shooting down in Nashville. Remember that she was I get confused with the transsexual thing.
It was something like that. Yeah, of course. But we don't need to point to that, Brad, because that would make people feel bad.
Make them feel bad about what? The fact that
about being something. I don't know.
Yesterday, on one of the talk shows, which I won't mention because I can't remember which one I was listening to. Isn't that terrible? They were talking about this exact same thing. It might have been with Mark Reardon. I can't remember. It might have been with Annie Frey. And they were, I can't remember which one it was. And they were,
it's all right. Go ahead.
They were talking about this exact same thing. And they had this expert on. Sometimes expert, you have to use air quotes on that. And essentially, they're talking about the fact that this is mental illness. That, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. A lot of people who are transsexual, it's not that they're confused about their sexuality. They're confused, period. They have a mental illness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And let me interrupt, Brad, because I don't know which national commentator it was. It might have even been one of those cultural commentator types like a Mike Cernovich. But someone pointed out that in a lot of these cases, these transgender men, women, whatever, are being pumped full of a bunch of hormones. And do we think that's not going to affect their mental state in a negative way?
See, once again, it's the drug situation. I mean, let's be honest with you, John. I mean, for a long time in my life, I had no prescription drugs I was taking. Unfortunately, I'm on a couple right now, and I won't talk about that. But what always bothers me is I'd be up front and tell you this right up front. I've got a back issue I've had for a long time. A couple bad accidents has impacted my back. And I'm actually seeing a chiropractor now, which I'm going to get him on the air and advertise and talk about how great this particular chiropractor is, because so far they've helped me quite a bit. But I went to another doctor, and he gives me one medication, and it made me like into a zombie. And I'm going like, not taking this. And then I go back to him, and he gives me another medication, and I read the thing, read the label, and I'm going like, I'm not taking this one either. You know what I'm saying? It's to the point where
yeah, I get what you're saying, but I think that, Brad, that goes to show you that you also would prefer to be in your natural, let's be honest, eccentric, messed up mind. And you don't want to be a zombie. Like, you want to feel all those crazy things that you feel and think. And some people just want to escape their feelings and they want to escape their life. So let's pump ourselves full of drugs and escape what reality is. Let's pretend that we're actually a woman instead of a man. Maybe somebody can give us some drugs for that.
John, there's an interesting group of data showing that all of a sudden, for a long time, the rate of heart attacks have been decreasing, and lately they've been spiking back up again. Some people are suggesting it's because of the increased use of marijuana. Do you believe that?
I haven't seen any of those studies, but it could be anything, right, Brad?
Yeah, it could be they don't have enough little Debbies in their bloodstream. Okay, it's time for number 2.
It's time for Brad's number 2. It's time for Brad's number 2.
Okay, I know a little bit more about this next topic than the average person does. And John's going to roll his eyes and say, well, I'm not surprised that Brad knows about that. We're going to talk about sewage, John. Sewage.
Oh, wow. Okay. And you don't mean most of what spews out of your computer on generic domains. You mean like actual sewage?
Yes, actual sewage.
Okay.
And part of the reason I know more about this than I should, my father was a civil engineer, and when he worked and part of its deal when he was in the Army Reserve, he was assigned to the Army Corps of Engineers, and one of the things he did around the St. Louis area, I remember driving with my dad, I designed that sewage treatment plant. My dad did a lot of sewage treatment plants, and he explained to me how sewage treatment plants work and stuff like that, so I know a little bit more about it. Plus, if you go back a mere 4 or 5 years from now, what a lot of the health departments around the country started doing was they started carefully monitoring the sewage. You know why, John?
Yeah, and we don't need to be gross, and a lot of people are eating breakfast or drinking their protein right now, but you could detect in human waste, you can detect the COVID virus.
Right. Here's a story out of Nantucket. You ready for this? I'll read you the...
Yeah, was there once a man from there, Brad?
Right, yeah. There's a man and a woman. Okay, here's the opening paragraph of this story. The sewage in New England's exclusive Nantucket retreat is full of cocaine, according to local authorities who this summer began testing it to monitor potential drug use in a popular summer getaway for the rich and powerful. It's full of cocaine. Get this. Okay, let me read you this one. During COVID, a lot of these communities and most communities decided that it was important for them to start testing the water to see if there were any spikes in COVID in the region. This is according to Randolph Rice, a Maryland attorney and legal analyst. But what Nantucket has now decided to do at the beginning of the summer is to actually start testing for other types of substances, particularly drugs, nicotine, and other items within the system there. And what they're finding is there is a high level of cocaine. Does that surprise you, John? The rich and famous?
No, I mean, among that crowd, absolutely not.
Man, I don't get it. I had this discussion with somebody the other day, okay? I told you the story. Was that this week, that last week, where I told you there was a pic, somebody saw on Facebook had a picture of a bunch of guys from a station I competed with. It was a bunch of guys I used to work with. I told that story about Robert Oxenhandler, the guy that got murdered, and originally some guy came forward.
Right. Okay, go ahead.
It was a picture of all these dudes and at Stereo WK, KWK, whatever you want to call it, and half of them are dead. And I would say that I'm not incriminating if somebody sees that picture on YouTube or on Facebook. It was on Facebook. If someone sees that picture and can identify some of those people, like I can, I'm thinking to myself, God, some of those guys are younger than me, and they're all dead. Some guy's been dead 10 and 15 years. Why is that? They were all heavily into drugs, and a lot of them were into cocaine, heavily into cocaine. And so many times, I mean, my ex-bosses, both dead, I know they were super duper into cocaine. I told you the crazy story of Kevin Matheny, pig vomit, who died, at 59 or something like that, who was infamous because he was Howard Stern's boss. If you ever watched the movie, he died of cocaine in his system. Now, it wasn't in his system. What it did was it weakened his heart. Cocaine goes at the heart muscles. Is that what it does? It causes.
Yeah, I mean, and your heart is a muscle. People think of it as just an organ, but it is a muscle.
Right. So, but man, sometimes you're better off being broke and poor. You know what I'm saying, John? When you get rich.
Yeah. Or just maybe not doing drugs. I don't think you have to add the broke stuff to it.
I guess now. Okay, now, number one. You ready?
Yeah, Brad.
And now, big finish, Brad's number.
John, I don't know if you've seen this. Have you seen the update on the Rhode Island prosecutors? Have you seen this with the AG?
I did see, a clip from court, Brad. It was a much different story, wasn't it?
Yes. Okay, to recap this, let's talk about this situation. Is these two young women, and did we ever, you talked about that. Why were they being trespassed? They'd already eaten dinner there, wasn't that was? But,
yeah, and the news report I saw yesterday, it was a stand-up shot outside of the courtroom, so I'm guessing this happened Tuesday or Wednesday in the courtroom. The news reporter said it still isn't clear what happened in between the period of time that the folks paid their bill and then they left and why they were trespassed. My whole thing, Brad, is that they were just being drunk and obnoxious, or maybe they were standing by the door waiting for their Uber and then they got really, obnoxious with the staff.
Right. And if the whole thing is, and this is the thing we talk about, that when police body cameras were first proposed, a lot of police go, we don't want that. And now the police are going like, yeah, we love those body cameras, because 90% of the time, maybe 95% of the time, the body cameras catch the criminals doing all sorts of crazy stuff, and the police officer is the one who is trying to de-escalate the situation. And to recap this, police officer shows up at this restaurant, goes and talks to these two women, then he goes talk to the maitre d'. Remember, and he said to the maitre d', they said something about, you want him out of here? And he says, yes, I want him trespassed. And once again, I don't know how it is in Rhode Island, but in the state of Missouri, if you are on private property and you are told to leave and you don't, and you call the police and the police say, do you want them trespassed? And you say yes, the police can come over to you on the private property and said, you have to leave. And if you don't leave, you get arrested. That's the way it works. And that's the situation.
Yeah, so give us an update on the case, Brad.
Well, she's gotten 6 months suspension with no pay. 6 months suspension with no pay. And remember what they kept screaming, her and her girlfriend, they kept screaming the thing about, and there's one interesting line in here. Let me see if I can read it here, where essentially, can't find the line. I should have highlighted. Okay, here's right there. The attorney general, the head dude, his name is Noronha, Neronha. I guess that'd be Noronha.
Yeah.
I'll read you one sentence. Nerona also clarified that Flanagan's assertion that police must turn off their cameras at the direction of citizens is false. Remember, we talked about that. That would be like, hey, I'm robbing a bank and I'm standing here with the gun, and the police officer is trying to, get me to drop my gun. Hey, officer, can you turn off their body camera right now? I'm a citizen, and that's a law. If I request you to turn off your body cam, you have to. Oh, sir, no problem. Even though I'm catching you with the gun in your hand, holding up the bank. If you want me to turn off my body camera, I'll be more than happy to do that.
Yeah. Now, Brad, wouldn't you describe, if you've seen the footage, the word I would describe is contrite?
Well, they were, it's like, you laugh about this. I know you make fun of this. It's like the perfect traffic stop, okay? People.
What is it? What's the perfect traffic? Brad, it's been, I seriously think the last day you went through this again was Friday. So what is the perfect traffic stop, Brad?
People are human beings. Police officers are human beings. If you treat someone with kindness and respect, you will more often than not get kindness and respect back. If you treat someone with contempt and
so Brad, I'm going to interrupt you because we've heard this so many times. But you should put your hands on the wheel. Now some people are saying put your keys on the dashboard. You say, when people pull Brad over, you say, I had my pieces at 3:00, and then the officer says, that's great. So Brad, I think it's awesome that we have the perfect traffic stop. I'll go back to my question. What did you think about the woman's disposition? Like, did you find that she was contrite? I thought she did all the right things in court.
All the right things in court?
Yeah, like in the video from the courtroom. She said and did all the right things, and she appeared to be contrite and humble. And I think she put on a good performance.
Well, she'd better, because of the fact otherwise she's never going to work as an attorney in her life. I mean,
was the 6 month without pay? Isn't that a little harsh, Brad?
No, I would have fired her.
You don't like her because she makes a lot of money.
No,
so you're going to be happy that she's losing money because you don't like somebody that makes six figures.
John,
but don't you think that losing pay for 6 months is a little much?
No, I would have fired her. If I was Attorney General, I'd say, you know what, not tolerated in my office. See you later. Find another job.
Oh, okay.
Because once again, the situation is put yourself in your corporate thing with, corporate. And let's say the vice president of the company.
She would have been fired, Brad. To answer your question, she would have been fired.
Gone. She would have been gone. There would have been.
But you also have certain rights when you take a job as a public official. You also are, I think, the assumption, right or wrong, is that you're entitled to have a lot more leeway because you are suddenly now a public servant and it's going to be harder to fire you.
Don't give me the public servant stuff. See, it's funny. After our show, Jack Armstrong talks about this all the time. Whenever somebody plays the public service card, I'm the same way as him. He talks about this all the time. Don't give me that public service BS. It's BS. Do you think that Josh Hawley considers himself a public service? No, he's a power hungry guy who wants to be the president of the United States. He's not a public servant.
Wow, Brad, that's harsh. Well, what about like Mike Elam?
Well, but see, the interesting part of it is Mike Elam is not a full-time politician. He has a regular job.
Yeah, that's true.
That if he pulled this crap on his regular job, let's put Mike Elam in this position, Mike Elam would not have a job with the company he's with. And see, that's the whole part of it. And the situation for Mike Elam is that I think and I'm not defending Mike Elam here. It sounds like I sent him. You ask the question, but see, I think that if I had a rule, they talk about. I've said this before, and people go, "Oh my God, I can't believe he said that."
Okay, go ahead.
If I had if I was going to do a amendment to the Missouri Constitution, my amendment would be: you can work for the government for 8 years, and that's it. You can be a state senator for 2 terms. You can be a state rep for 4 terms. You can work at the DOR for 8 years. You can work at the Attorney General's office for 8 years. After 8 years, any form of government pay, you go back to the private sector. And
I think that's a great idea, Brad, because, let me interrupt, you have great service at the Missouri Department of Revenue when you drive to Jeff City. So those top-notch public servants that help you in Jeff City, after 8 years, they got to get the heave-ho, and we got to hire a 22-year-old that doesn't know where anything is. That's a good idea, Brad. That makes perfect sense. That's some good Brad Hildebrand logic.
John.